It's always a pleasure to welcome back our alums on reunion weekend. And alums almost always make the same observations. Over 5, 10, 40, 50 years, people change. We mature. But alums most often observe how, despite the changes of time, so much stays the same. The same connections, the same personalities. We're all recognizable to each other after so long because we're the same people. And that's a pretty good metaphor for the college, because it's a dynamic place, and I can talk with you about lots of changes, but there's a continuity, similarity over time in purpose, mission, personality, that makes it a pretty special place. We are a dynamic place, and I can mention lots of current initiatives to illustrate that, I suppose. Some of them you've read about, some of you have read about, some of them are new, but they're all toward the same traditional ends. For example, we're really proud to have gotten approval with New York Law School to open a charter high school in the South Bronx. That's a wonderful thing. And for us, it's going to be a laboratory school where our teacher education students can both teach and learn the best in practice and provide very high quality educational opportunity for kids from neighborhoods that don't have the highest quality opportunities open to them. We're really excited about that. It will open a year from September. And connected to it, we're going to be opening a new master's program in teacher preparation, where they're called clinically rich programs, and they are really where teacher preparation is headed, and where it's proven to be most effective. So to enter a clinically rich program, a student has already graduated from undergraduate school and has already passed content area examinations. And they start the summer before, and they take some coursework, but during an entire academic year, instead of a short window, they are in a classroom with a master teacher and with students 4 days a week, and taking courses one evening or weekend each week. And that following summer, they finish up their coursework. And at the end, they get dual certification, content area, and usually either ESL or special ed. So that they are learning, we always have said we learn from doing, right? Well, these programs actually are learning from doing, where the class and the in-class experience are closely intertwined. We're excited about that. It's an example of being at the frontier of what's happening in higher education. We have a new partnership. It's called International Partnership for Service Learning. And it, not only for its offices are on Mount St. Vincent, and it offers very high quality international study opportunities for undergraduates. So, and unlike, that's going to sound a little off the reservation, but there are a lot of study abroad opportunities where people go to Madrid or Florence or something, and they have a really intense experience drinking for a semester. But this IPSL sets up internships where students have not only intense academic work, but an internship in service. Whether in Shanghai, in a program to prevent the spread of AIDS, or in the Galapagos, which is very hard to get in marine biology and evolutionary biology, or they're the only international organization in the world that have internships in Mother Teresa's hospice. These are intense, culturally rich opportunities that are the best of what international education can be, and very consistent with the mission of the college. And we're not only doing that for our undergraduate students to increase their international study opportunities. This fall, we launch a new master's degree in international development and service, where students study 2 semesters at Mount St. Vincent and study 2 semesters abroad with internships. For example, we had an alum do this with them in working with juvenile delinquents in London. I was so impressed by what happened in that internship that instead of going to graduate school in social work here, she chose to go to graduate school in social work at University College London, and just has completed a master's degree there. This international master's degree program in international development and service is pretty wonderful, but we're also offering it in conjunction with our MBA, so that people can have an immersion experience and develop knowledge and skill in management. And there's a reason for that, because as far as we can tell, we will be the only graduate program in the country that offers a master's degree in how to manage in underfunded and undercapitalized institutions. And the great vulnerability of NGOs and not-for-profits is poor management. So if you're bringing together the experiential and the theoretical and the management experience, we think that we can provide a very high-quality academic experience and prepare people to meet an international need of how do we serve people, not only with the best of intentions, but how do we serve people effectively. Other initiatives. You're seeing things like branding campaign. Our new curriculum is fully rolled out, and we're quite proud of it. Unlike a lot of schools, we are very true to the traditions of liberal education, and our faculty, after in that once-in-a-generation renewal of a curriculum, our faculty did things that other people aren't doing. For example, as far as I know, we are one of the only institutions in the country that actually require up to 3 semesters of composition, because the problems in writing are so severe. And we have returned to requiring 2 semesters of religious studies, which is something and we require science and math and social sciences and humanities and philosophy. We actually not only talk about it, we do it, which is one of our I think distinguishing characteristics. I would say we have the vulnerability of sincerity. We actually try to do what we say matters. And that, in any field, I assure you, in education, is distinctive of actually trying very hard to walk the walk. And that's part of the tradition of consequence. So, everyone is always interested in the campus and physical plan. I should tell you about some of the progress that you've seen and some of the progress we project. We announced that the science building is complete. We still have one laboratory left to do, but it just seemed right to celebrate how much progress we've done. The science building is as state-of-the-art as it gets. Sister Edwards' lab still needs to be renovated. So we still have about $1.5 million worth to do in there, but if you get into the science building, you will be really proud, because there are no facilities that are better than the ones that we have created in the science building. Some schools have it equal. Nobody can have better. There's nothing better. And that's a field where the quality of facilities really impacts the quality of education. For example, under the old labs, Sister Marguerite used to tell me that, remember Sister Marguerite Queso, who was such a fantastic, wonderful person back in England. Sister Marguerite told me that when they opened that building, safety protocols said that you had to go outside the building every 20 minutes and take some deep breaths. They say there's no progress, but there really is progress. To renovate those laboratories, the air has to turn the new laboratories mean people can do the best of chemistry, the best of biology. And they do. We've been identified as having the highest graduation rate in the United States for Latinos in the sciences. That is pretty special. And a couple of years ago, the American Society for Cell Biology gives a total of 4 awards a year for original undergraduate research. And a couple of years ago, independent of each other, Mount St. Vincent students won 2 of them. It's pretty impressive. We're not talking just good intentions here. We're talking excellent education. Every year now we have a symposium for student-faculty research. And it's in May, the end of the academic year. And this past, not everybody who's done original work has the time to make a presentation. But this May, over 80 of our students gave presentations on their original work across disciplines. That, as a percentage of students, as a percentage of graduates, that's as good as it gets. That's as good as it gets anywhere. And when students are moving as far to be able to do high quality, independent research under the tutelage of faculty, they are achieving the goals of undergraduate education. They are showing the intellectual self-reliance and discipline that we hope they will find. And we can be very proud that they do. So that's an example of a facility that helps to make things not only look better, but be better. We've brought back the art major, which had been suspended for over 20 years. And we're really excited about that. We now have really very good facilities in studio art. We've hired an art historian. We will have a major which has in New York. It just makes sense. This makes sense in terms of liberal education. It makes sense in terms of our location in New York. And we're bringing back the arts, not just studio art, art history, but dance, theater, and we hope to have a minor in music, sorry, minor in music. Other physical plant. This fall, we opened, I never thought we'd get around to this, but we actually started to work on Founders Hall, what used to be called the administration building. And this past fall, we were really proud to open 3 floors of renovation in the northern end of that building. When many of you were here, it was part of the Sisters Division, and it was really beautiful. And as some of you know, on Saturday, this past Saturday, there was a fire in that wing. A laptop computer battery blew up. I didn't know that had happened. Anyway, it blew up. But thankfully, all of our systems worked the way they worked. The comment was safe. No one was injured. Our staff has responded perfectly. Very grateful. But the damage is from smoke and water, as well as from the fire, is pretty bad. And I think we're probably looking at, I understand we're looking at about $2 million worth of damage. So we end up having to redo a lot of what we did last summer. But the good side is that we now have to renovate another floor, so we're almost done. You see that it's recreation and athletics are important to students. For example, we have about 345 undergraduates who take part in intercollegiate athletics every year. And all the studies show that students perform better in season than they perform out of season. The retention is higher for intercollegiate athletes than it is for students overall. That athletics really is a route to help students learn self-discipline and commitment to others and teamwork and all of those things. So we've been improving our facilities in part because they are educationally consequential. And you've seen the Sharp Center includes both the old gym and the new gym. And this summer we're renovating everything underneath the auditorium, the basement of the auditorium, as part of the Sharp Center, as a fitness center, a 7,500 square foot place where people get more exercise than I obviously do. So it's really, again, it's as good as it gets. And next summer we project renovating the locker rooms, which will mean that that entire athletic facility, the volunteer field, that entire athletic facility is complete, which is pretty wonderful. I think it really matters to the quality of campus life. We are in the midst of planning the next generation of changes, the next strategic plan for the college and capital campaign. And we've made a lot of progress in the physical plan, but we're projecting a series of smaller initiatives to keep us fully competitive and up to date. The college has to continue to grow. Our long-term goal is 1,800 full-time undergraduates. We're not trying to get big, but that's a good number to offer a well-rounded academic program and stay small and personal. And the projects going forward they illustrate something too about the college. One, we need a new residence hall, but we're projecting that the lower level of that residence hall will be for new nursing simulation laboratories. More and more of nursing education requires simulation, including very high-end computerized dummies. Where people, there are whole families of these things, where the dummy can be programmed and the student has to go in and diagnose what's wrong when the dummy can't talk. So by taking the vitals in, they'd be able to respond appropriately. All sorts of intensive childbirth, intubation, all sorts of procedures where students can learn more than they used to before being put in a clinical placement. And it's absolutely essential because we all know that people in the hospital are there more briefly, they are there and they are sicker, and we know that hospitals are understaffed. And therefore, the opportunity for high-quality clinical placements are not what they should be for nursing. And we have an obligation, if we're going to continue to prepare nursing students excellently well, to do more on campus so they're better prepared before they're put in that kind of intense environment. So the lower level of the next residence hall will help us to do that more comprehensively and effectively. Other smaller scale projects as part of the next campaign. We all love the castle. It's a work of art, and and we have to save it. And saving it is really kind of an expensive proposition. It's like it's not like building a new building. So we're going to try to do half of what it will require to fully restore it, which is like there's a lot of water damage in there, there's a lot of termite damage in there, there's all sorts of basic needs. So we want to do the envelope and restore the plaster and put in a new HVAC system. That probably will cost about $1.5 million. And then the second half later will be to hire those artists who can, like a lot of beautiful woodwork in there. That is not work. That's painted plaster. So we have to have the second half of the restoration, which will cost about the same thing, is to hire those artists who can make it look like wood again. And to create all those little painted boxes on the walls, and to do all of that aesthetic work, which matters so much to preserving the beauty of the castle. And in the long run, what we want to do in there, in the long run, we want to move that mission out and turn it into a space that can house functions, receptions, that's what yesterday, and be a gallery to display visiting art and student work safely and appropriately, which is in some ways returning the castle to one of the things that was used, of course, more than a century ago. Other small, we want to continue to make progress on Founders Hall, not only in repairing the fire damage, but we want to continue, you know, it's such a fantastic building, it's so huge.